Good morning, guys. Welcome to part 7 of Refuge Recovery. I'm going to have to be hurrying up because look, we're only there, but we'll trek on. Here we go. We left off with the beginning of impermanence. Impermanence. One of the key things to understand is that everything is constantly changing, both inside and outside of us. Our very bodies are in constant state of change. First we grow up, then we grow old, then we die, and our bodies continue to change and decay. Yummy. On the physical level, this is obvious to most, but mentally it can come as breaking news. All sensations, emotions, sounds, smells, tastes, sights, thoughts, feelings, moods, experiences, and relationships are impermanent. They all have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Nothing lasts. This is so cheery. Nothing lasts. Nothing is constant or exciting. Let's see. Nothing lasts. Nothing is constant. Nothing is permanent. Just the rising and the passing of phenomena in the body. As we all found out as addicts, it is impossible to maintain a permanent state of intoxication. That was not our failure as addicts. It wasn't because we weren't smart or rich enough. It was because it is impossible to win the battle against impermanence. Of course, the fact that life is impermanent can also be good news. It can work out to our advantage. Now we're talking. This shit won't last forever. For instance, impermanence is primarily problematic when life is pleasurable. Even when we are enjoying ourselves, we still have to understand this shit won't last forever. Sorry. If we live long enough, we will watch all of our friends and family go through losses, illness, and difficulties, and eventually die. Many of us have already experienced tremendous amounts of loss at young ages. We live in a world of loss, of change, of constant instability. To recover, we must understand and accept impermanence. We must replace the reactive survival instinct of clinging, grasping, and attachment with the wise response of non-clinging, non-attachment, and compassion. That did not say non-compassion. That said and compassion. In a world where everything is constantly being pulled beyond our grasp, clinging and grasping always results in the rope burns. Oh, that's spiritually so true. The rope burns and unnecessary suffering that accompanies it. The next one is unsatisfactory. Unsatisfactory. At the first glimpse of insight into impermanence, people usually wonder, well, if everything's always changing, where can we find lasting happiness? Right? The answer is simple. Once we stop looking for happiness in impertinent things, we begin to find an internal source of happiness that is not dependent on or addicted to circumstances. Let me re-say that again. Once we stop looking for happiness in impertinent things, we begin to find an internal source of happiness that is not dependent on or addicted to circumstances. As we accept the unsatisfactory nature of all conditional phenomena, we begin to seek the unconditional source of all happiness. This is what the third truth points to. What we uncover or recover is the liberated heart of unconditional freedom. That's unsatisfactory. There we go. The next one is impersonal. So we have, again, started with impermanence, went off to unsatisfactory, and now we're impersonal. Another aspect of the human condition is that we will come to understand directly through the practice of mindfulness is that a lot of what's happening is not so personal. This will be revealed on several levels. First, that we have probably been self-absorbed for most of our lives, thinking about ourselves, obsessing about our place in the family, the community, the world, letting our pleasure or pain rule our lives. Even the codependent who may say, quote, "I haven't been self-centered, I've been centered on others," end quote, will upon closer examination have to admit that his or her caretaking and enabling arose from a deep place of craving a pleasant outcome. Oh, it's so true. Stop at the dramatics, Jeannette. Okay. The codependent, too, is being driven by self-centered craving. Admit it to yourself. Ugh. To not let others suffer or struggle when suffering or struggling is appropriate or necessary is selfish of the enabler. There's a freaking paradigm shift, ain't it? Because enablers can't tolerate someone else's pain, they create situations and relationships that prolong and at times increase the suffering. Almost every addict has been living a self-focused, self-centered, self-indulgent, and selfish life. Of course, there may be an exception here and there. Maybe you were the only altruistic junkie on the planet. What we must recognize is that the self-centeredness of the addict is just an extreme example of a universal human condition. Let that give you pause. Everyone is self-centered. We are born that way. Our minds and bodies have evolved over thousands of years with a built-in survival instinct that is both inwardly and outwardly focused. Humanity's self-centered craving and fear-based mentality is not the fault of the individual. It is not personal. It is just part of being human. Being self-centered is not our fault, but it is our responsibility to find a balanced and informed relationship with our self-centered tendencies. As we have already proven with our experiences, a life lived, ooh, that was page 33. As we already proven with our experiences, a life lived with unchecked and untreated selfishness is doomed to result in a downward spiral of more and more suffering and alienation. We are all born into a dysfunctional system. We are wired with an ancient survival instinct that we created to keep us safe from predators on the savannah. We needed to fight for our lives, for the survival of our... Hi, Kina. There we go. Sorry, Kitty's like wanting attention. What's up, girl? Say hi. This is your kitty break. What's up? What's up? What's up? You're adorable. Come on, Mamas. All right, where were we? We are wired with an ancient survival instinct that was created to keep us safe from predators on the savannah. We needed to fight for our lives, for the survival of our species. We needed to be on constant alert for the next danger, the next attack. Although most of us are no longer in danger of being eaten or attacked. Wait. A little coronavirus joke. Although most of us are no longer in danger of being eaten or attacked, we still live with the evolutionary biology of a sacred animal. The id. Next up is forgiveness. Forgiveness. Underlying most addicts is a deep well of pain. The pain of our lives have been caused by people and circumstances that have hurt us. We have usually responded with resentment, anger, and hatred towards the cause of our pain. The more we hate, the more we create layers of suffering and confusion on top of our pain. All this pain and suffering gives addicts more and more reason to crave that substances or behaviors that temporarily distract them from or distract them from. Kitty. Yes, baby girl. The more we hate, the more we create layers of suffering and confusion on top of our pain. All this pain and suffering gives addicts more and more reasons to crave the substances or behaviors that temporarily distract them from or elevate this pain. As we have already learned, pain is unavoidable, but suffering can be eased by meeting our pain with compassion rather than hatred. Well, in that moment, I'm flashing back to like all the friends I've ever had, like when they didn't have what they needed, whether it was, you know, like, have you had those friends that don't have cigarettes and they need them? I mean, that's almost as bad as Coke addicts that don't have their Coke. I mean, I know I was a jittery freak when it came to not having my meth because I needed it to function. I will be all like slow and stupid without it. I know that you know, some stoners get grumpy, or they go into negative headspace without their weed. I think that's the only time I noticed about stoners that. So yeah, good morning, guys. As we have already learned, pain is unavoidable, but suffering can be caused by meeting our pain with compassion rather than hatred. So what I was trying to say is that it's hard for an addict. It's very hard when they don't have what they need. It's hard to go into that compassion. This brings us to the necessity of forgiveness. We can learn to meet the pain of our lives with care and compassion. But we first have to embark on the process of forgiving ourselves and others for all the harms we have experienced and caused. Forgiveness is a process that continues throughout our lives. It begins when we begin to understand how to forgive. The practice of forgiveness has 3 aspects or categories. So these are the forgiveness process. 1, asking for forgiveness from those whom we have harmed through both meditation and amends. Cool. 2, offering forgiveness to those who have harmed us. In parentheses, it says meditation. 3, forgiving ourselves for all the ways we have harmed ourselves and others. And in parentheses, it says meditation and living amends. Like LIVING amends. The practice of forgiveness is done in meditation through the repetition of phrases of forgiveness. When we ask for forgiveness, we say one of the following. Sorry, it's like staticky. I don't know where my hairbrush is, and my hair is just like all over my face. Those little hairs that get on you when you static electricity. Anyway, the practice of forgiveness is done in meditation through the repetition of phrases of forgiveness. When we ask for forgiveness, we say one of the following. I ask for your forgiveness. Please forgive me for having caused you harm. I now understand that I was unskillful and that my actions hurt you, and I ask for forgiveness. Well, that's a good one. When we offer forgiveness, we can say, I forgive you. I forgive you for all the ways that you have caused me harm. I now offer you forgiveness, whether the hurt came through your actions, thoughts, which is interesting, or words. I know you are responsible for your actions, and I offer you forgiveness. Oh, I know you are responsible for your actions, and I offer you forgiveness. Wow, that's got to be the most in your face but loving but still in your face thing ever. I know you are responsible for your actions, and I offer you forgiveness. That's powerful. And when we offer ourselves forgiveness, we say, I forgive you. I forgive you for all the ways that you have caused me harm. I now offer you forgiveness, whether the hurt came through my actions, thought, or words. So we talk to ourselves in a second. Okay. I know I am responsible for my actions, and I offer myself forgiveness. Fascinating. There's also the Ho'oponopono. What the heck is on my face? There's also the Ho'oponopono prayer. I think I'm saying that close to correctly. I don't know exactly the exact order. I shift it in my head depending on how I'm feeling. But it's, I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. No, wait. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. If you ever feel emotionally fucktarded, I just recommend going outside, looking into the sky, preferably the night sky, looking at them stars, and repeating that over and over again without any intention other than just hear those words come out of you. On many, many occasions, they have brought tears, just tears of emotion that welled up out of the depths of wherever I hid them. Very powerful meditation. But continuing on to this, because we're getting close to 20 here. Of course, we can't just say the phrases or do the meditation a couple of times and be done with it. We can't just decide to forgive and magically let go of all the past pains and resentments. But it has to begin somewhere. And it begins with the understanding that all harm causes come out of suffering and ignorance. There is no such thing as wise abuse or enlightened harm. This is the core truth of harm. It always comes from confusion. Anger, violence, and all forms of abuse and betrayal are always motivated by ignorance or confusion. When the mind is clear, however, it is incapable of intentionally causing harm. The awakened mind acts with only wisdom and compassion. Wow. It just makes me think of the whole sober mind thing. Anyway, from the Bible, you must be sober-minded. They mean that spiritually too. And I guess what I'm getting here is that you can't really get spiritually there without abstaining from everything. Which just makes in my head, my addict's just like, well, that just sucks. And what is everything? Is it the cigarettes? Is it the coffee? Is it the sugar? Well, how much do I love myself? How much do I trust that my mind is designed well enough all by itself and that my heart can take whatever the world has to offer it without having to be altered with a substance? Did God design a shitty design when he created the human body? No, he didn't. We should explore its wonders and have faith that we are enough just as we are. And that we can love ourselves enough to give ourselves healthy food and exercise and fresh air and breathe in that good-ass prana, as Infinite Waters says. Moving on, When the mind is clear. When the mind is clear, however, it is incapable of intentionally causing harm. The awakened mind acts with only wisdom and compassion. That understanding of harm has crucial implications for us as we practice forgiveness. Suffering. What? Actors? What? It forces us to distinguish between The understanding of harm has crucial I scrolled. Did you notice? That understanding of harm has crucial implications for us as we practice forgiveness. It forces us to distinguish between the confused, suffering actors and the actions themselves. Suffering actors and the actions themselves. This is perhaps the most essential understanding in forgiveness, the separation of actor from action. Whether the harm that requires forgiveness was an unskillful act that was carried out, hurting someone else, or an unskillful act on the part of another that we felt victimized by, we must see that the act and the actor are not the same thing. Most of the time, the anger and resentment we hold is directed against the actor. In our minds, we don't separate the abused from the abuser. But this is exactly what we must do. We must come to the understanding that confusion comes and goes. An action from a confused and suffering being in the past doesn't represent who that being is forever. It is only the expression of what's being... It's okay, Dexter. An action from a confused and suffering being in the past doesn't represent who that being is forever. It is only an expression of that being's suffering. Well, that just takes all sorts of weight off everyone's backs, doesn't it? And if we cling to the resentment over past hurts, we simply increase our own suffering. True that. By holding on to our anger and resentments, we make our lives more difficult than they need to be. Or as a friend recently said, all is good, or all is well. And I was like, all right. Okay, we're almost done here. Fuck it. We're going all the way to chapter 6 because we got 2 more pages. I'll shut it and continue. At the same time, we also understand cause and effect. And we know that everyone is fully responsible for their actions. We don't have to punish. Everyone is already fully accountable for what they have done. Some actions may not be forgivable, but all actors are. There is always the possibility of compassion for the actor, the person whose own suffering has spilled onto other people. There is always potential for mercy toward the suffering and confused person who hurts another. All right, this is already 22 minutes, and I know you all don't like them long, so I'm going to leave it at that, and we'll come back as quickly as this thing will load, which yesterday took literally 20 fucking hours for, sorry, I didn't mean to cuss, 20 hours for 2 videos, so we'll see when we get to page 37 of Understanding on the Refuge Recovery by Noah Levine. Love you guys. I'm off to the park to walk the Dexter. Oh wait, it's not mine. I cannot put little things on it. And thanks to beautiful, I want to say Rex, Kimberly, but it's Kimberly Rex, for once again letting me borrow this book. Namaste. We'll catch you soon, guys.